Welcome to my super type A attempt at being Zen, the podcast. My name is Risha York, and I will be your host. If you are overworked, overtired, overstretched, overwhelmed, and just over it, you are in the right place. We like to say we are currently working towards Zen-ish. I'm thrilled that you've joined us. Let's see who will be supporting us on our path to Zen today. Hello and welcome back to my super type A attempt at being Zen, the podcast. Today, I'm delighted to have Dr. Nicole Odom-Hardnett with us here today. I can't even tell you, we rescheduled this a couple times to make sure we got the right time and the right amount of time to chat. I am so excited to have this conversation today. So I'll give her a chance to introduce herself, but I'm actually going to do that with my first question, which is, Nicole, tell us about what it is that you do and some of the challenges that come up along the way.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for rescheduling. I know life has happened to both of us. We've had some challenges and some, highs and lows over the last several months, beginning like last year when we previously spoke. Well, I like to call myself a social entrepreneur. I do everything what I like to consider for the public or for the community or for the goodness of mankind.
Yeah.
I am the president and CEO and founder of Focus Point Solutions, which does business as Focus Point Behavioral Health. I've been in business since 2010 and probably a little bit before that, but licensed and everything or acknowledged by the state, at least since 2010 for Focus Point. And what Focus Point does currently is I am a behavioral health and substance abuse. We see our clients for behavioral health and substance abuse and mental health and supportive employment and PRP, which is psychiatric rehabilitation treatment, supportive employment, which is we help our clients get gainfully employed or continuing education.
And this is all across the United States?
Well, it can be because I am actually licensed to franchise.
Okay.
So if individuals are interested in helping me with this journey of helping the greater mankind, because so many people are suffering from mental health and substance use, they can join me along this journey.
Yes.
So what I like to call my agencies, we help the full service. So someone may come in with substance use or mental health disabilities, and they go into another department, which may help them with sustaining or filling out an application or getting back into school or disability applications, applying for insurance, or just something they may be having challenges with, or just need some a little push.
Yeah.
To get them, back into the active world after they're able to get back on their feet from whatever substance or mental health illness they may be succumbing to at that moment.
And are there therapists in-house in your clinics?
Yes,
yeah.
We have therapists that see our clients in-house as well as through telehealth.
Great.
Yeah, so we make sure that whatever your need is, we make sure that we try to fulfill it. If you have need medication, whether it be for substance use or for your mental health need, we can fulfill that need also.
Okay.
The other thing that I do, I am an author.
Okay.
I have 6 books. 3 of them are a best-selling author. Or I have a candle line that will be actually selling the candles probably within the next 30 days, they'll be ready for sale. Let's see, what else do I have going on?
What don't
I,
you
you,
do, Nicole?
I try to, I figure, we're on this work in this on this earth for a very short time.
Yeah,
I try to stick my hands in a little bit of everything. If I feel that I can do it and possibly be successful at it, I'm going to try it.
that is a
Um,
true type A slogan if I've ever heard one.
mhm. You, you know, I don't want to be one of those people that say, "Oh man, I wish I could have done that."
Yeah.
Why can't you do it?
No, we only regret the things we don't try.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So, if I can find some type of space, and then I've learned I can't burn myself out. I used to do that. I used to try to accomplish everything. And I've learned, from trying to accomplish everything that I can't do everything. I know, I try to be that superwoman, but, superwoman at some point has to sleep and, we have to rest.
You bet. Yeah. Well, and if we don't fill our own wells, then there's nothing to draw from, right?
Right.
And you must run into that a lot in running these clinics. So where are they located?
So I'm in Maryland. I have 4 locations in Maryland, and I have 1 location that's in Tomball, Texas. Now, Texas is my newest. And Texas has been, we thought it was going to be so easy to open up. I opened 4 in Maryland with no problem, and they're all up and running. And I'm like bursting out of the seams in all of my locations in Maryland. And when I got to Texas, okay, we got the license and everything was great. And then it was like, hold up, the credentialing. The credentialing like stopped me in my tracks. Because in Maryland, I'm credentialed for, all of the Medicaid, Medicare, and all the commercial carriers.
Yep.
But in Texas, it was a little turn of sorts where it's not the state insurances first, it's the Medicare, then the commercial, then the Medicaid. So it was totally different.
Right.
So it was a lot of hurdles. Business, you have to go through a lot of
You,
stuff.
you
Everything
sure
isn't
do.
always, black and white.
It's an
So
ever-changing landscape, right? And then when you've got to interact with the government, especially when it comes to
yeah,
healthcare, there's going to be red tape. There's going to be bureaucracy. You know
all
that
the
every
time.
state is going to do something different.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yep, all the time. So, it's really been a learning process going into a new state, doing different things. But hey, I've never been a quitter. I'm not giving up. And I feel like eventually I'll make my way through.
Yep.
And my office will open up, and I'll have more than 1, 2, and 3 offices in Texas also.
Oh,
So
I'm sure. I don't doubt it at all. I think
yeah,
part of this, and probably why you've done so well in Maryland is, it's an epidemic, right? Healthcare for mental health, it's an epidemic. It's sorely needed, and it's really difficult to find. And there's certainly a disconnect amongst, I don't want to say classes, but I mean, let's be honest, there just is, right? Not
it is.
everybody has access.
That's true. It's so true. You have there's certain levels of providers. There's certain people who don't want to have treatment with a certain class of individuals. Um, and it's sad,
Yeah.
but I look at it like this, and I have never been on the other side, so I can't really speak for my clients because I've never been in their seats in the group positioning. But for those who choose not to sit next to someone because you feel like, okay, I am working and this other individual is not working,
Yeah, or whatever it might be. Yeah.
but you still are doing the same things or feeling the same way. is still, even at my level, it's still a little baffling to me.
Yeah, totally. And I also feel like what a gift it gives us when we get to break down what we would usually have as boundaries in our life to find common struggles, commonality amongst anyone and everyone, right? I mean, that's basically at the end of the day, if you are suffering with substance abuse, everybody in your group that is suffering with substance abuse is likely going through very similar issues,
Exactly. Yeah, no
right?
matter what level you're on. Yeah. I'm sure you have to be struggling from somewhat of the same feelings at some point in time or another, and you could probably learn from each other something.
Absolutely.
Everyone can learn something from someone.
Yes, I totally agree that with that. It's funny because we talk about this as in terms of schools in our house a lot too, because our school is so interesting. It's very small, but it's the only fully French language school in our area. And so it brings in a very diverse class and race and everything into the school. And I love it because it's like, hey, look, this is the entire school is embracing absolutely anyone and everyone to come to come through these doors and learn. And I think it encourages children to understand too, like we're all on this planet together. And like you said, like be there for your fellow man, for humanity in general, regardless of where you were born and who your parents are and whatever. The thing that brought them together was the French language, right? Whereas I think in a healthcare service space, we have this opportunity to really connect with people. You don't know people's stories,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you meet
And it's
someone who may
that's
be unhoused and have a substance abuse problem, but 2 years ago could have been a six-figure lawyer on Wall Street, and you have no idea what somebody's history is.
that is, you have no idea how true that is, because before I actually got into outpatient substance abuse, I had housing and I had assisted livings, but in my assisted livings, I would actually house those who were dually diagnosed, those who had substance abuse and mental health. And one of my residents was actually a six-figure earner. And because of his alcoholism, he actually lost everything.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. And that was an eye opener for me. At that time, I had just graduated from grad school. Um, this was, again, it was before my outpatient experience of, running a program on my own. Um, and so I was really taken back by that. I had dealt with individuals who had substance abuse problems, um, and other life issues, mental health, dealt with bipolar, schizophrenics. But for someone to lose everything, and I mean lose it to the point where he lost his family, meaning divorce, his house. He showed me a picture of his home. It was a beautiful home.
Yeah,
Cars, job, everything. Nothing. No, and no one would come and take him to a doctor's appointments, mental health visits. It was all on me. And
right.
I never met this man before.
Yeah,
And I was now his sole caregiver.
right.
And I
Wow.
just when he came to me and I went home, I cried because I just thought that it was so upsetting to me that this could happen to someone, and now you have no one
Yeah,
because you have this disease and you've lost everything. So I'm like, no one could purposely do this. And I went to school, I learned all this stuff, and at that moment, I can remember realizing that this is really a disease
Yeah.
because no one could really purposely want this for their life.
No, like just could not help himself.
Right,
Not capable, right? And
right.
I mean, I think this is, you know, this is when we get I use temperament theory a lot with my clients, and so we talk a lot about what happens when you're out of esteem. So like you're really in a bad place. Everything is not going in your direction. And as a result, you're not aligned. You're not living in line with your values. You're not well equipped to understand who you are and what you want. You don't have any direction. You're not It's sort of like you're the square peg in the round hole, like nothing's working. And so there's behaviors that happen as a result of that when we're not in alignment, when we don't know what we're after, what we don't know what's important. And I watch so many people walk through this world with these ideas of what they want and what they need and what's important to them that aren't theirs, right?
Right.
It's been
Hmm.
imposed upon them. Like,
Right.
my mother wants this for me, or my whole family is doctors, or, whatever it might be. This is what's expected of me. And they've never taken the time to stop, get to know themselves, understand what they want. And so they live this entire fabricated life in misery. And then they end up in this place where they're completely out of esteem because they're in the wrong place, they're in the wrong life. And the behavior that results from that is substance abuse, aggression, violence, anything that's just self um, detrimental, right? Like just hiding, hermiting, things like this. Like it just completely comes out in how we interact with the world,
Right.
right? And there's this one specific temperament where they're highly resourceful people. They could do virtually anything anywhere. But when they're not in a good place and things are not going their way, addiction is one of the number one ways that they retaliate because it's a sense of freedom. I can do what I want,
Right. And
right?
it makes them feel like that's their escape.
Yeah,
That's how they escape, but not realizing that, okay, reality is going to set back in. And then when it does, usually you have to recover or either make up or fix whatever you did once you did escape, because
yeah,
who knows what you did because you were unconscious or unconsciously or unknowingly doing something during
exactly.
that escape.
Well, and I think about that a lot as it pertains to, you know, when we're super type A, right, we have all this stress, we carry all this responsibility, we're doing all of these things, we're so high functioning, we're so resourceful, we're able to do so much so quickly, faster than other people with, and but it doesn't mean that we have less stress. We actually carry more stress. I feel like there's just more weight on our shoulders.
Right.
And then how we cope with that becomes a decision we have to make, right? So, it's so popular to talk out in the world like, oh, I just go home and have a glass of wine. That's all well and good if it's like a once in a glass of wine. If you're going home and having two bottles of wine, like we're now
Right.
talking about a pretty serious substance abuse problem that you're not addressing and you're using it as a way to escape from your super type A lifestyle,
Right. Correct.
right? So, are you seeing stuff like this in your clinics? Are you seeing, like women, especially, I'm seeing so much stress. Are you seeing them coming in telling this story?
A lot of women, they have the weight of the world on their shoulders, with some of them not having a support system at home, they're taking care of the kids. And a lot more women are now, CEOs or executives or, in a higher ranking in the workplace.
Yeah.
So they have that stress, or they're in leadership roles. So with that, they're doing a great balancing act. And some of them wait until like they're being hit by the Mack truck, or they see the Mack truck, like on their heels before they'll seek out or ask for help,
Yes.
because we as women are so used to doing everything and won't ask anybody.
Yeah, no, God forbid, especially if you're super type A. It's like, I've got this. People
Yeah.
come to me for help. I don't ask for help,
Right. Right.
right?
Like, oh no, I can do it. I can handle it, and I'll just, put it on this shoulder. And then I'll put
Yeah.
some on that shoulder, and I'll balance that on my head. But I'm seeing more and more now that they're coming in, but the sad thing is that now it's playing out where people are having, strokes and heart attacks and things like that,
Yeah.
and then they're coming to us. So
Yeah.
it's more in a life-threatening illness, and then they're coming to us after that
Yeah.
because something has happened.
That's terrifying to me, right? And this is like part of the entire goal of my super type A attempt at being Zen is to get ahead of that. Like, let's not get to the point where our body is revolting,
Mhm.
right? Let's make sure that we're putting time in our day first and foremost and really taking care of our mental health and focusing on us and giving ourselves time and space so that if we want to be the CEO of whatever corporation and also raise kids and also we're booking this time into our life to be like, well, hold on though. Like I have to care about my well-being first and foremost.
But so many of us women, we feel guilty about, that time that we may spend going to a spa, or because we just feel bad
Yep.
because it's going to a spa. We're doing something for ourselves. But it's downtime. You need that downtime. Even if you are spending a couple of dollars pampering yourself, you still can relax and release. You
Yeah.
need that release in order for you to recharge.
Like, even if you're hitting the drugstore and buying a face mask and taking the day off work and
Right.
laying around watching romantic comedies, like, ladies,
Something,
just do it.
whatever
Like,
it is, right, whatever it is for you to recharge. And like you said, even if it's going and buying the mask from the drugstore, or from, any of these stores, or just putting your feet in the foot spa at home and shutting the door,
yeah,
for you to relax. You need the recharge
yeah,
on your own time with no one around, just so you can get that mental clarity without someone coming in and asking you a question and you having to answer. You have to think about it. You need that. You need to watch that dumb show on television, no matter what it is.
yeah,
And I had to learn to do that, because I was one that, oh, I don't turn on TV. I don't watch TV. I'm not doing that. But I've learned, and this is just really recently, I would say I'm gonna say within this last year, 6 months to a year, that I've actually um been really in tune to watching, to actually turning on the television and trying to watch something. Now, I don't know how to operate most of the remotes and things in my house, because, like I said, it's been within the last 6 months or so. But I have really been trying to be a person who does that on purpose
yeah.
now, because I need to really just mellow out.
Slow down.
Because if not, I'm like always go, 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 go. And let me get this done so I won't forget it. Let me write this down so I won't forget it. And I'll stop what I'm doing. And I may be on my way to, winding down. And I'm like, wait, let me go back in my office.
Yeah,
Wait, let me do this. Or wait, let me send this off.
right.
And by the time I know it, it's like 8 o'clock.
And
And
you
I
have to
haven't
put
even.
the boundaries in place, right? You have to put the boundaries in place where it's like, look, sorry, but this is my cutoff time. I do it for work all the time because I work from home, so I understand it's It's
Yeah.
like, sorry, when the door to that office closes at whatever time I close it, I don't go back in there. I don't go back in there unless something's on fire. Like, I check out. I'm not there anymore. And then I think this is the thing. So, like, what is it? Like, what is it about being super type A that makes us cope with stress differently? Like, why is it that we have a different way of processing the stress? Because it seems like what we do is we do more.
It is so true. I do so much more. It's like I have to get things done and I have to do them right now. They can't wait. It's like everything is of urgency.
Yeah.
I just, mm,
What is that
I,
hypervigilance? Like, in your opinion, where do you think that's coming from? Is it the lack of support? Is it the lack of,
it's trust. Because
yeah,
everything, I don't, I try to delegate, but I don't trust that it's going to be done my way.
yeah,
I am somewhat of a perfectionist.
yeah,
I have my way of doing things. I have my time frame in which I like things done. I
yeah.
have my order in which I would want things done.
But then
And
what would you then say to a client who is saying the exact same thing you're saying to me?
I would give them so many reasons why you should disseminate because of stress.
Yeah, right?
Because it would eliminate and decrease the amount of stress that you have in your life. It would give others responsibility.
Yeah,
I can go on and on and on and why you should let others do work for you.
yeah,
And then you check off as things you just monitor the
yeah.
things that they are doing for you and you give them timelines and boundaries.
Aren't we so great at doing that for other people? I mean, I think this is the ultimate challenge of someone who's super type A. Like I function at a super type A level and I have to mindfully bring in relaxation moments into my day every single day to come down off my super hyper vigilant horse that is like constantly monitoring, constantly looking for efficiency, constantly trying to make things faster, easier, more productive, more lucrative, more easy, like everything in my household. This is how I function. But living like that, I feel like is going to kill me. So I'm looking all the time for little moments, pockets where I can escape it completely. And it's like finding those moments where I listen to my own advice.
But we are the super type A is the high achiever or somewhat of the overachiever. But
Yes.
you look for that. But when you're complete with an assignment, task, or project, it's like an adrenaline rush.
Yes.
Um,
The endorphins.
yeah,
I just like even just checking things off lists is like feels so good. So
it yeah, it's super exciting. And then when you're done with the project, you're bored
yeah.
and you're like, okay, now what? And you're
Yeah.
excited for the next thing.
Yeah. And I think, what I've been trying to do a lot too is learn how to sit in that quiet. Like sit in that
I don't
quiet.
think it's possible. It's not possible. And I tell you why it's not possible. And I've been listening. I've been quietly listening to my husband. And I say quietly listening because I don't respond to his comments. When when I get ready for bed or for a trip or something, I have like certain routines. Like I travel a lot
Yeah.
because we live in Texas, but the majority of, our businesses, especially my primary businesses, are in Maryland.
Right.
So I like to, especially if I'm gone for a week, 2 weeks, um, pay all the bills, get a lot of things done because I'll be gone, and the bills go to locations in Maryland to one primary location. So I'm always like, he calls me Speedy. Like I'm back and forth. I'm trying to pack, I'm paying bills. I do things for my mom, like I take her to the doctors. I have my grandson, so I try to spend some time with him because he's excited to see me. Like
Yeah.
I go, 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 go. Like I try to make everybody happy and do things with people so they see me when I'm in town. And I just have a mental checklist.
Yes.
I'm good and bad at writing things down. Like I make a list, but then I forget where I put the list. So I kind of keep it in my head, and I have lists all over my car
Yeah.
of things that I need to do, go to the, post office and mail, get things out.
I'm sure that there are so many people listening to this being like, that's me. I
Yeah,
relate to that. Yeah.
and he's like, you make me exhausted. And,
Just
and
watching
so
you.
just watching me throughout like the week,
Yeah.
because his day is like from 6 a.m. to 3.
Yeah.
My day is like from 6 a.m. to like literally 9
Yeah.
p.m., maybe 10. Because if we want to watch a show or something together, I may start settling down after dinner at like 6, 7-ish.
Yep.
But then by the time I'm ready to sit down, if I start preparing, it'll be all right. I'll start preparing to sit down after shower at maybe 7.
Yeah.
I'll be ready to sit down. It's probably take me 2 or 3 hours just because I'm folding the laundry, I am putting away clothes, I'm straightening up
Yeah.
something, or I'll put away something. I may unload the dishwasher. Like it's so much.
Yeah. There's always something that needs to be
There's
done.
always something needs to be done.
Yeah.
He was like, oh my gosh. He was like, you never stop. He
And in
was
some ways, like, isn't that nice that you have that level of energy that you can keep going like that? And then in others, it's like, how do I force myself to stop? Because I feel like I need to stop.
right. I'm like, I just don't know how to sit down. I'm like, how do I sit down? And sometimes I'm like, I need to sit down. Like I have a problem. Like right now, I have plantar fasciitis, and I
Oh,
was wearing a boot. I've been in and
the
out of a boot.
worst.
Like I really should be in a boot right now, and I really need to. I keep telling myself, Nicole, you really need to sit down.
Yeah.
But I just cannot sit down. I cannot.
I get it. No, I get it. And you know what? I struggled with this too. So I had vertigo last spring and it lasted a long time, like way longer than it should have. And for the first 2 weeks, I literally like I couldn't get off the couch because the whole room would spin like I was on a tilt-a-whirl,
Mhm.
and then I thought I was gonna throw up. So it was like I had to sit still and not really move my head.
Mhm.
So my husband's like, "Well, what are you gonna do?" And I was like, "I think I have to basically just sit on the couch and I don't know, like watch TV, watch movie. I don't know what to do with myself because if I tilt my head down to type on my computer, the room is spinning. If I have my phone, I'm like holding it out in front of me so that my head is level and I'm like tapping on it, but that's like causing me neck and back pain and so I'm
Right.
like, okay, I think this is going to be awful. Like I have to sit still. And so I had to sit still for literally 2 weeks. Now, this is not the first time this has happened to me, Nicole. Like I have had my body tell me sit your ass down so many times. Like when I finished university, I had a double pulmonary embolism and I almost died.
Oh
And
gosh.
I was put on bed rest for 6 months. It was awful. Like it was awful. I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. I did so much stuff from my bed because I was like, there's no way I can stay in bed. Like I think I stayed in actual bed for maybe 3 weeks. And then The rest of the time I would just like sit. I had to sit a lot. And then, you know, I've broken my ankle. I've definitely broken or sprained my ankle 6+ times. And, you know, every single time something like this hits me, I try and have a moment like, why did this happen? Like, I feel like it's happening for me to learn something from this incident. And 9 times out of 10, it's you need to sit your ass down. Like, stop it. You're doing too many things. And when I look at each of those moments in my life, I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it, right? Like at one point, I was working 2 full-time jobs and also doing hobby things and out with friends and whatever. You know, even right now, you know, in the spring, I have 2 kids under 8. You know, I run my own business
Oh
or do
boy.
like there's just a lot going on. And as of yesterday, I'm doing my master's degree. So, I mean, I take on and I take on and I take on all these challenges and I want to do them because it's who I am as a person. I want to keep doing things and I want to stay busy. But after watching my mother go through Parkinson's, which is like it affects your nervous system.
Hmm.
I had this huge wake up call, and it's why my super type A attempt at being Zen exists as a program because I thought to myself, oh my God, I need to learn to relax. If I exist at the very top capacity of what my nervous system is capable of doing, I'm just gonna burn out,
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that.
right?
I, I had somewhat of a wake up call, and a couple of years ago when I thought I had a stroke. But it was actually I had what's called a hemiplegic migraine, and I
Yeah.
had it while driving. I was literally doing like about 80 something, 90 on a highway in the fast lane. And luckily someone was in the car with me, a coworker was in the car with me. I was on my way to work. That was somewhat of a wake-up call. But it really catapulted me into going completely 100% out into my own.
Yeah.
Um, Working for myself. So I was halfway in working for myself at that point, but it made me go into my own because I was so stressed working for someone else.
Yeah. I can
And
relate to that too.
yeah, and making them money because I was working what 60, 70 hours in a week
Yeah.
for someone else. So um I just try not to stress myself. I
Yeah.
may do a lot of stuff now, but I can't say any of it is really stressful. It's kind of fun
Well,
other
and
than just
sometimes you can be mindful around it. Like if you're super type
yeah,
A and you're like, I like a clean space, I want my space to be clean, then
yeah.
if you are mindfully folding
Hmm.
clothing and putting it away and wiping down counters, and this can actually be very therapeutic. And I
It
think this is
is.
like one of the key answers to what makes us cope with stress differently when we're type A is we see the value in those activities.
Right. Yeah, because I can't sleep if I have dishes in my sink, if I have clothes all over my house or my space, if it's cluttered, anything in the clutter, it gives me major anxiety.
Yeah, I can
I
appreciate that.
cannot function at all if my space is a mess. I just can't. It actually does something to me where I get really, really nervous.
Yep.
So me folding clothes before I go to bed, after they come out of the dryer or something that, relaxes me. As then I can lay down and relax because I have a clean space, everything is put away. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Well, and it's funny how like in different seasons of your life too, that comes through because before I had children, everything was neat, tidy all the time. I wouldn't go to bed with a
Yeah.
mess. I wouldn't. Well, now I've got two young kids, and the odds of my house being perfect at any given time is slim to none. Like, I would love for that to be the case. There's just not enough hours in the day, right?
Oh my gosh. I was, when my kids were younger, I'm gonna say like 20 times worse when
Yeah,
I had my kids were younger, until I ended up getting pneumonia and I was
yeah,
hospitalized because of my pneumonia. And I remember my mom had to come and stay with me because I couldn't do anything. I could barely even wipe my own butt. It was that bad. They were
yep,
like, if I hadn't got there when I did, I literally would have died.
yep,
Um, and she came in. I can remember her seeing my house and my boys' clothes, everything was folded and lined up
yeah.
so neat. And she was like looking at me and like, oh my God, who have I raised?
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, everything was turned a certain way and everything was just lined up all over the house. Their clothes were color coordinated and
Yeah.
everything. And they were little. She was like, okay, what is going on here? I really need to step in.
I think I started that way with my first, like, oh, look how everything's so organized and in its place. And then once he got to be about 3, I was like, this is not manageable. And then the second one came and I was like, uh-oh, I can't keep this going the way I want it to go. And I had to like sit down and have a real talk with myself. Like, listen, you can't expect perfection when you have these little, chaos agents running around your house because that's not fair. It's not fair to put all that time and energy into something looking and feeling a certain way when they're literally just here to destroy it. And
Right.
I remember one of my good friends actually said to me, she sent me a message and she said, how are things going once I had my second? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's a lot. And she was like, I'm going to give you the best piece of advice I ever got. There's always going to be dishes. There's always going to be laundry. You're not always going to have your kids at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, that is something I need to sit and digest. She's like, if the choice is between folding laundry and like snuggling your kid and watching a cartoon, and I was like, okay, that's given me a lot to think about. I appreciate that. And it really did slow me down. Like it took me to a different place. That, and somebody said something in the last couple of years, it's been very popular to say, like, you basically only get 18 summers with your kids or something. And I was like, oh my God, what? And I had this moment where I was like, every summer has to be epic. And then last summer, I was like the entertainment director all year. And I was so burnt by the time I hit September, I wanted to die. And I thought, okay, no, that's not what that means. Like, it doesn't mean that you create this super magical summer, like, such a type A response to that, right? Like,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna send them to camp and we're gonna go on these great adventures. Like, okay, that's wonderful, except for now I'm so exhausted. So I think it means quality, right?
Right.
Quality time. And
Hmm.
this is what I'm constantly battling with because my super type A mind wants everything
To be perfect.
and
Right.
clean and
Yeah.
epic and amazing and outrageous and wild and fun and and that's just those are very high standards to live up to on a regular basis.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Yeah, and I think I realized that after that battle with pneumonia and being bedridden for 2 weeks after that, that was when reality really set in because I was really everything was perfect for me. Even though my house was the kid house,
Yeah.
all my boys, their friends, they came over to my house. It was the playhouse, but I would just, everybody, all right, clean up. We sit in
Yeah.
the barn and clean up. And my kids they were like 10 and what, 10 and 3, all the way until they were like 12 or so. Like that was the house. But I cleaned up, I folded clothes, I did laundry, and everything was put away. Thus and so.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got a puppy, and so we're kind of using that as a way to be like, boys, things have to be put away because whatever doesn't get put away gets eaten by a puppy.
That's a
So
good excuse. Yeah.
you can't be mad if all of a sudden your stuffy got disemboweled because you left it out. So
Right.
think about where your things live, right? And right now we're not letting the puppy in our basement. We built a playroom in our basement when COVID hit because my oldest was 4, had just turned 4. And actually, we had been building it prior to COVID. It was finished just as COVID hit. So somehow that was lucky. And my
Right.
youngest at the time was 6 months old. So I was like, great. Well, we just have another space in the house we can relocate to and have fun with. But I don't go down there because it looks like a bomb went off most of the time and it gives me such severe anxiety to go into the room. And my husband's office is off that room. He could care less. So he just goes down and it's like, whatever, walks right past it, doesn't bother him. I'm like, like
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I see it and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, when's the last time somebody came down here? And they're all like, it's fine, mom, chill out. And I'm trying not to like pass on. I want them to clean up after themselves, but I also don't want to pass on this level of hypervigilance that I have,
Right, right,
right? Because I feel like it's detrimental to my mental health some days. And it doesn't need to be. Like,
right. Because it's not that serious. I think I have somewhat passed on my super type A personality to my youngest son, and definitely to my youngest bonus daughter. And I say my youngest son because he'll actually graduates from college in May, and I think he still carries, I think it's like a 3.8
yeah,
GPA, and I know he graduated high school with a 4.0.
yeah.
Um, so
Very
yeah,
focused on getting,
very much so. And he beats himself up a lot if he doesn't get very good grades. And I'm like, dude, no one in college, no one has ever asked me what type of grades I received in high school or college
yeah.
ever.
Thank you for joining us for part 1 with Dr. Nicole Odom-Hardnett. Are you triggered by grades? I definitely am. Join us for part 2 where we start to talk a little bit about grades, which is a really interesting conversation and so much more. So please do come back and join us for part 2. I really hope you've enjoyed part 1 with Dr. Nicole Odom-Hardnett. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to podcasts. Visit www.yorkmotivational.com for more information on my Super Type A Attempt at Being Zen, the coaching program, Lead Without Permission, or visit our contact page to reach out to Risha. Wishing you all continued balance and fulfillment on your road to Zen.